of wrapping up the trade talk. And obviously, the Jets are saying we're not wrapping anything up because look at what we get to do for the next couple of drafts. I mean, this is a stockpile. Like, I don't know how else to describe what they have. So 2026, they have their own pick. They also have Indy's round 1 pick. Then they have 2 in round 2. One of them, of course, from Dallas. Those 2 picks coming, via Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. And then they have, 4, 6, 7, 7. 6, 7. Did you get that? And then in 2027, they have 3 round 1 picks, and then 2, 3, 4. I won't keep going. You can see the rest. But look, I mean, this is essentially their chance to go out there and change the fortune of the franchise. I mean, that's what they decided that they were going to do. I feel like, in part, Aaron Glenn went in there, watched what he had for the first 9 weeks of the season and kind of was like, I'm going to blow it up. Like, that was the decision that they came to collectively as an organization. And now, Keegan, I'm sure, you can have read some of the same stuff, but you look at guys that, project the draft and look at the draft, and the 2027 draft is expected to be one of the best, certainly that we've seen in a long time. The 26 draft, next spring's draft is supposed to be better than the last couple that we've seen. So at the very least, they have put themselves in a position to make some choices in terms of how they want to build this team. You got to hit the picks. Like, none of it does any good if you don't hit the picks. We don't need to repeat that twice. We know that deal in New England, given some recent drafts here.
Yeah, I think that's the issue with the Jets is they've nailed the picks and then not capitalized on it, or they've completely whiffed on them and then put a bunch of money into everything around them, and that has failed as well. They've never really gotten there where everything's kind of melded together. But every move that they made yesterday and that they've made in the last few months would point toward the fact that they're trying to get it right starting in 2027, because 3 first-round picks in a draft where, like you mentioned, the 2 guys that I have an eye on, and I think the Jets have an eye on, Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin, Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith would be the number 1 pick today if he were able to come out. He's not eligible. Julian Sayin would be the number 2 pick probably. He's not eligible. So they're firing their eggs into that basket. And I think they're looking to kind of get to that point where they're able to, now with 3 picks, use their own, maybe use another, move up and grab one of those guys, or at least somebody who's going to be able to turn the fortunes around, because their franchise has gone through the ringer, really. Like, we mentioned it. Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson. Those are 3 cornerstone players that they drafted in the first round, and they nailed those picks. Guys that were effective right away. They raised the floor and the ceiling of your team. That's everything you could ask for out of a first-round pick. But they fumbled everything around it. The Zach Wilson pick was a disaster, and they were never able to get somebody in the building who was going to give them consistency at quarterback. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers thing, if his Achilles doesn't go, who knows where we are right now. But it does... You trust an old quarterback to come in and be the difference maker, and obviously he gets hurt and he's not. The circus that came with that was a disaster for them. And then they move into this era where I think coming into the season they knew, all right, we'll give Justin Fields $10 million and he can be our starter, and then we'll go get a veteran backup in Tyrod Taylor. And what those 2 guys are going to do are they're going to ensure that we're bad enough at the trade deadline that we can, I don't know. I don't even know the word for it, but justify, I guess, getting rid of a 2-time All-Pro that's only played 3 seasons and the best pass rushing defensive tackle in the NFL, because that's what they did. 2 insane moves. But if you look at it in the totality and the grand scheme of things, process over results, something that we talked about during the break, this is the process, the start of a process to become a real contender. So kudos to the Jets, because they made 2 insane, really hard, but smart decisions on Tuesday, getting rid of their 2 best players and 2 guys that are going to go make a difference for teams that are trying to make the playoffs. really hard decision, but kudos to them. Because I think in the long run, if they're able to nail these draft picks like they have in the past few seasons, obviously different people making those decisions, they're going to be in decent shape heading into 2028, 2029.
Yeah. Well, they got to find a quarterback because none of it is going to matter if they don't use one of those picks to find a quarterback. Let's give some grades. Let's give some grades to them. You look at what they did with Sauce, obviously gave up a lot, right? I mean, 2 first rounders, 2026, 2027. AD Mitchell, went from the Colts to the Jets. I think that's a hefty price, especially for, a guy who you just extended too. I mean, so, I mean, to me, it's like, this is a huge, it's a huge win, I guess, for the Jets. I think if you're the Colts, you gave up a lot to get him.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We're going A+ for the Jets for me, because with everything I mentioned, with the fact that you were never going to compete in the window of Sauce Gardner's contract. So go get rid of him. You bring in a receiver who's never had an opportunity in Indy, who's kind of buried on the depth chart, has made a couple bad decisions that have helped bury him, but really talented guy, was looked at as a first-round pick going into the draft, ended up slipping to the second. And then 2 first-round picks, those are darts that you're able to throw at the board to try to refill this thing up. For Indy, you better go win a Super Bowl, because if you don't, it could get pretty ugly pretty fast, because the amount of money that you owe some people, the Daniel Jones contract is going to have to get restructured. So now all of a sudden you're paying a lot of money for a team that is good, obviously, and they're built really well. The depth that they have is tremendous, but you're going to start owing a lot of money to a lot of different people, and it's going to hamstring what you're able to do, or how you're able to get better moving forward. So if you don't win now, you're in a tough spot.
Well, and very clearly it's a vote in confidence that Daniel Jones is their future, because you're not parting ways with all those picks if you have any inkling that you're going to be in the quarterback market. The Jets obviously also working with Dallas, and Jerry Jones kept hinting at it. We're not done. We're going to make a deal. Blah 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 blah. Being Jerry, right? So they. Quinnen Williams is, look, I mean, it's a great deal in the sense that Dallas needed help, right? I mean, they get him, they get Logan Wilson as well from Cincinnati. How do you grade these two? What the Cowboys did and what they gave up to move forward here? I don't know if those two guys are going to completely change Dallas's defense.
They're not. I don't understand what Dallas is doing. Quinnen Williams is a tremendous, maybe one of my favorite players in football. I think he is a game wrecker. He changes the way defenses play defense, the way offenses play offense. He's that good. That's maybe the worst defense in football right now. So the one player isn't going to fix everything. Like, he can get after the passer. You've got a couple guys that can get after the passer. It doesn't matter when you can't cover for more than 2 seconds. Like, the teams are going to beat you over the top until you're able to fix that problem. Again, for the Jets, Mozzie Smith, talented player who never really got to the point that everybody thought he would. And then a second-round pick this year and a first-round pick in 2027 that could be juicy. Like, we're talking top 15 pick. You match that up with a second, and you can jump into the top 5. We all assume the Jets are going to already be in the top 5. So you're looking at a team who could possibly have 3 first-round picks and one of them being a top 5, or 2 of them being a top 5 pick. That's
2 of them being a top 5. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you want to start a franchise right there, how you want to reset things. So kudos to the Jets. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. They've done a really good job ripping the Band-Aid off and looking toward the future.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you don't think you got it, then you might as well find a way to remedy it all at the same time, because you can't compete in this league without a quarterback. We all know that. And at some point, it's like, well, it's great to have all these pieces on defense, but if it's not in a window because you don't have a quarterback, what good does it do? Like, go out there and can you, I mean, if you're Saw, who, reportedly had no idea this was a possibility, but did get a call from Aaron Glenn. I mean, he just went from a 1-win team to the Indianapolis Colts, who have, one of the best records in football. Talk about a swing. I mean, wow. Yeah. All right. Seattle, of course, we mentioned, they get Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans, for a 26th, 4th, and 5th. How do you grade this one out, Keegan?
I like it for the Saints again, and this might just be my draft Nick guy talking, where I love the draft, and I think all these picks are really valuable. You can package 4th and 5th round picks to move up, and the Saints are in a similar position as the Jets, where the only thing they should be doing is obtaining draft picks. And they did that. For the Seahawks, there are two sides to the same coin, where Rashid Shaheed's really talented, and he fits what they need. He's got speed, and he can kind of bring a different element to that offense, so that's great. But you also give up future assets for a guy who might not be there in 6 months because he goes and signs somewhere else in free agency. So that's another example of a team kind of putting all their eggs into a basket and really going for it this year. I like Seattle's chances a little bit better than Indy's because the NFC is deep, but they're all kind of on the same playing field, where the AFC, the teams at the top are worse than some of the teams behind them. Like Buffalo and Kansas City are still the teams to beat. So I like Seattle's chances a little bit better than Indy's. So I like this move a little bit better than I like the Indy move. But again, you're giving up a lot of pieces for somebody who might only bring you a small amount of improvement on that offense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? I mean, how far is it going to get you this year? That's really what it amounts to. Because, or are they going to decide that they're going to figure something out and he becomes a long-term piece there? And is that what Rashid Shaheed wants as well? Like, those are all questions that have to be answered. Old friend Jakobi Meyers. He might not like
fish, so you're screwed at that point.
Old friend Jakobi Meyers wanted out of Vegas. We knew that, dating back to training camp. There were obviously some questions being asked as to would he be a good fit here in New England. It's Jacksonville that goes and makes the deal to bring him in for a 4th and a 6th. This one was a little surprising to me. I mean, look, I know you're dealing with the Travis Hunter, non-contact knee injury from practice last week, and it was a little odd, we don't think it's an ACL, but he's immediately on the IR. You're kind of going, okay, so is it meniscus? Like, clearly it's significant, if you're immediately putting him on the IR. So I understand that you need some depth there. But again, this is a team that you're trading away a 4th and a 6th, and I don't see you contending for a Super Bowl this year.
No, I hate this move for everybody involved. I think for Jacksonville to really take a swing at bringing in another receiver when you've put, a lot of assets into Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. They're both hurt, so now you're going to try to tread water with Jakobi Meyers until they get back. That doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. For Jakobi Meyers, this stinks because he's got to go play in Jacksonville when the two other teams who were sniffing around, the Steelers and the Bills. So two real contenders in the AFC that he missed out on playing for. I hate it for those two teams because why didn't you give up a 4th and a 6th round pick to go get this guy, or maybe a 4th and a 5th just to try to one up the offer? For Buffalo, I think that makes them the best team in the AFC if they go get Jakobi Meyers. I don't understand why they didn't do it. And then for the Raiders, it's another lost team that, you trade this guy and he's on an expiring deal, and that's great. You get a couple picks out of it, but what they've done in the draft recently and for all of the needs that they have to fill, I don't know if it's going to make that much of a difference. And especially with the people in the building right now making decisions, I don't know if they're going to be here long term. And that's, you're giving a lot of power to a person that you don't fully trust. I don't think that's, very smart. But they had to do it at the end of the day. You had to get something for them. So I guess the only winner here is the Raiders, but barely, because it never should have gotten to this point in the first place.
The Raiders are just trying to find ways to be winners right now. I mean, it has been that kind of season in Las Vegas. And, that game last week was bonkers, but I am confident in saying that this is not what Pete Carroll expected, when he stepped back into a head coaching role in the NFL with the Las Vegas Raiders.